Max.
Yeah, I think it's recording on Alex's computer, and I'm gonna so it's recording now on the cloud. Thank you everybody for joining this monthly Colibri Garden webinar. Super excited for this discussion today. Today we have with us Alex Salinksy. Alex is, yeah, he's a very good friend of mine. He's somebody who I met through I met him through our good friend Ivailo in ceremony spaces and kind of like connecting through the spiritual path. But then the more that I got to know Alex, um, the more I realized how experienced and skilled he is in the world of business and entrepreneurship. Recently we went to support a Sundance together, and we had a lot of opportunities to talk about how these two worlds can come together. And yeah, specifically about Alex's journey integrating these two paths. That's what we're going to be touching on today. As most of you know, my name is Mags. I'm head of integration at Colibri Garden and a retreat facilitator. I'm also a plant medicine integration coach and the founder of Journey Woven. I'm also a psychedelic journalist and writer. At Colibri Garden, we host sacred medicine ceremonies and retreats here in Colombia, just outside of Medellin. And yeah, this is one of our monthly webinars that we run for our community. And just to give you a bit more of a formal introduction to Alex. So Alex is a fractional chief operations officer and consultant to Silicon Valley scale-ups. On any given weekend, Alex could be meditating with monks, fasting with indigenous leaders, or bringing friends to sit at their first medicine ceremony. But it's back to corporate KPIs on Monday. Alex has been expanding startups in Silicon Valley and around the world since 2011. Welcome, Alex. Great to have you with us.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Okay, so just to kick things off, I would love it if you could tell me about these two parallel journeys that you've had. So, creating a career in Silicon Valley, working in tech companies, eventually building your own business, becoming an entrepreneur, and then at the same time living this digital nomad life, traveling all over the world. And then as a result of that, and the time that you've spent in Latin America, attending dozens of ancestral medicine ceremonies, and more recently, doing your vision quest. So it's been quite the journey on both sides. I'd love you just to tell us a little bit more about these two paths.
Yeah. I it I think I want to start by saying explicitly, and I think you've said a lot about it already, but I'm not a coach. I don't do anything medicinal for my business. I don't offer my clients tarot readings or crystals or anything like that. Like it's not my vibe and it's not what I do. Like when we talk about corporate work, like it's sitting with people and helping them understand how to set up their key performance indicators, their metrics. How can project planning be better? How can people delegate? At no point do I say let's like sit in the circle and do the things. And I just think that's important because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the merging of two worlds that sometimes people think don't coexist or don't merge. And so that's what I want to start with. And I would say that they are parallel paths. And I joked online earlier that I always say I don't feel that I'm such a spiritual person, but then the evidence of my life now contradicts that. The things that I'm involved in would suggest that maybe I am a spiritual person. So even inside of me, there's an argument, right? Of like what I am in the world shouldn't be spiritual, and so I must not be. And so I think that might be worth touching on as well. But I started out my career as a teacher and then with Teach for America. And then I moved into, um, I was recruited into more corporate things because of my tech degree. And so I've been a business analyst and a product manager and now a fractional operations officer to startups. That's been on the corporate side. But a lot of the ways that the reason I'm doing it independently now has a lot to do with my ability to give up identity things, which is part of the spiritual path. So an example of that is I'm in Silicon Valley. I work for an important company. I get a promotion, and so my title changes, and so I'm more important in the world, and I get a little more money, and I have this validation of people outside of me saying I'm good and getting better in the world. Um, and I really felt connected to that in my identity. That was good. Like, look at me. I'm good because these other people say that I'm good. And so even before I was in Mexico and Latin America, like that journey was important to me because I could let go of the identity of it. I could start to say, you know what, I want to do things for myself based on my own self-validation. So I had trouble releasing myself from the promotion and the money part of things. And then when I started working, like doing spiritual work, unknowingly, um, I was coming to a place where my identity came from me, or I was releasing identity. And so I could let go of being in a house where they give me the promotions and the title change and just go out into the world and say who I am and know who I am. And some of the companies I work with, I'm called the fractional chief operations officer. I'm called that. In some companies, I'm just Alex. I'm just the guy that they talk to every Wednesday. And because, so part of the breakdown of identity allows me to just do what I do best in the world. Is that a start, Max? Do you want to?
No, I think that's great. And I think this segues really beautifully into a question that I had for you, which is how has this spiritual path that you've been on influenced the way that you view success in your own
Yeah,
life?
big. Yeah. Um, I'm less worried about certain kinds of successes. It's just not as important to me. And it's funny because like I still want to do really big, cool things. Right now I'm at the very beginning of starting an accelerator that connects Medellin startups, Colombia startups with funders outside of Colombia. And so now I get to play this really cool role of being between people who are going to impact the world and the funding that they need and wrap people around and accelerate them. Um, and that I'm not worried about its success so much. And I'm not sitting here like I'm not worried about the success because it'll come to me and the universe will bring it. And I don't know. I don't know, but I'm not attached to the outcome. And so now I can get into things that look hard and weird. Like I feel weird about what I'm doing. I feel uncomfortable. I feel like I'm not the right person to do it, maybe, but I'm just going ahead and doing it and resources are gathering around me. Um and and it's flowing, but honestly, like, is it gonna work? I don't know. And it's not, it's I know I don't need to do things because I think that they'll be successful anymore. I mean, I still need to make money and like eat and sleep in safe places. Like that's still there. And I still have ambitions to retire comfortably. And I want those things and I work to achieve them. But it doesn't have the same importance of if I don't get this, I'm fucked up, I'm in a bad place. It's just maybe some of the things I try will be amazing and maybe some won't. And it's okay. I'm glad to be here trying. That's
Yeah.
changed. That's changed in me.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think it sounds like you've been able to really disattach the career success from your own sense of self and sense of self-worth. What do you think?
And still maintaining it. I still want it,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
don't I don't like need it because like if I don't have that, then who am I? I don't have
Right.
that.
Yeah.
I'm probably like at 2 a.m. some mornings it's still there, but for the most part it's not.
Yeah, amazing. That's great. And could you tell us a little bit more about the specific kind of like spiritual practices, ceremonies that you've been taking part in over, the last
Yeah,
however many years? And maybe like if there are some specific insights that you feel like you've been able to carry through into your business life and career.
yeah, yeah. Um, it's funny. I was at a Circulo de Palabras last night, and so there was a sharing circle with Mambe and Ambil, and someone at the end of it. I was able to take a little bit of, I don't know if I'd call it a leadership position, but I was just in a position to be one of the encouragers, to be one of the clarifiers of what's happening for people, because I've been doing some work around these things for the last few years, which is a surprise to me to be in a role, to just be a person who shows up and I'm like, oh, I have guidance to give now because I've been doing this long enough. Um, and someone asked me at the end, they said, "Oh, are the Mambe circles helping you? Are the circle of the Palabras helping you?" And I said, "Well, I've been doing this for like 5 weeks, but the 5 or 7 years of things like this, yes, I'd say have helped me quite a lot." So I've gotten exposed to things like that. Ayahuasca has been really important. I've been to 30 something ceremonies in 5 or 6 years, I think, 5 years maybe. Um, a couple with Evilo with Colibri Garden. Um, I've sat with like Mexican witches and learned tarot. I've gone and hung out with monks and learned how to meditate. Um, I have my own little rituals now. There's an altar in my house that I keep forgetting to look at. So there is an altar, but I don't notice it for weeks at a time. So I'm not like consistent in these practices. But oh, and of course the vision quest in these last couple of years has been really important, which is something that Ivilo of Colibri Garden led me into. So there have been a lot of practices that come out of a variety of traditions. I don't, as far as I know, I'm not too entrenched in one particular tradition.
Amazing. And do you have any like examples or stories of maybe insights that came to you in the Vision Quest or ayahuasca ceremonies and kind of the impact that they've had on your life as a whole, not just necessarily within the container of a spiritual tradition or
Hmm.
ceremony, but like how you've been able to take those lessons and those insights into your career?
To me, it's sort of because there are specific insights because I'll have that moment of like a lot of it's connection to self, right? I'm in the thing and I'm sitting quietly, perhaps with a medicine, perhaps just in a tradition, and 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 by doing that, stuff has started moving and arising and clarifying. Or I've just been quiet long enough. Sometimes it's just being quiet long enough that all the anxiety and the this thought and that thought and what this person doing, it just runs out of steam, and then the clarity comes. All the other stuff disappears, and then all that's left is the decision. And so that happens quite a lot. And and I'm happy for the epiphanies that come up, but in honesty, I think what happens is the cumulative effect. These little moments of ceremony and learning shift the trajectory a couple percentage points, and then it's time that takes it into the distance, right? It's like that metaphor of if I start on a flight in LA, it's a few degrees of difference that says whether I get to New York or Miami at the end of the flight, but that difference comes through time and movement, right? And so the cumulative effect has been my mom my mom communicates differently with me and I communicate differently with my mom, and she sees me as a more open person and she's more comfortable being herself around me than she was in my younger adult years. When one of my clients is having an issue with their team or they're anxious about something that's coming up, I can just sit with them in the anxiety. I don't jump right to here's the advice and here's how you solve it. I actually sit and go, oh yeah, that feels bad, huh? um and I can emotionally do it because I've learned a bunch of techniques. I've done this communication course. I love nonviolent communication and reading the books and the hacks and going to the workshops, and those are all really helpful. They're techniques. Under the techniques is something like empathy. It's something like um no having a fuller idea of what the humanity is and maybe even the divinity that's outside of me. And so when someone comes to me and I can feel them a little bit, and I'm not saying like I'm a clairvoyant intuitive psychic. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like I've done this work enough that when someone brings to me their whole selves, I can feel that that's happening. I can let go of my bullshit and just be with them and their thing, and that makes all the difference in the relationship. And now the work that we do is bigger, it's fuller, and they can be themselves, and they're coming to me with the conflict, the dissonance that we have between what I'm trying to do and who I think I am right now. And I can go, I feel that dissonance. Let's talk about what that feels like inside so that then we can actually move forward. Because it's consulting sounds like, hey, I need you to do X, Y, and Z. Well, that if I just say do this checklist and they're not in a position to do or understand the checklist, then it doesn't get done or it doesn't get done well or it's not sustainable. They do the checklist, but next year they have the same problem. Next month they have the same problem. But if I can come sit with someone and feel them and go, ooh, you're having a dissonance in you between where you're at now, where your team's at, and where you want to be. Let's dig into that. I'm wondering if as I'm talking, I'm being too abstract, but the
No, it makes
idea of
sense.
it. Yeah, so that's huge. I can do that now. I couldn't do that before. Before I just wanted to solve the problem. And
Yeah,
now
no,
I'm sitting with the real nature of other people because I've sat with the real nature of myself. And because I don't need to solve the problem all the time. I there's a that it's more of that stuff that I've just given up on. I don't have to solve the problem because it's okay if I don't. Like so many more things are okay. It's okay if I'm not the problem solver now. You didn't used to be. I had to be. You hired me. I'm the expert. I got to fix this, right? Now it's, oh yeah, that's tricky. I'm with you on this problem. I'm in the passenger seat of your car now. I can do that
mm,
with you. And that's so valuable to people. It's more powerful than having the right answer a lot of the time.
yeah, no, I think that's so powerful what you're saying, Alex, because like whether, it's a 3-year-old having a tantrum in the middle of the
Mm,
supermarket, or whether it's like a CEO who's like in a crisis situation and doesn't know what to do, like the first thing at the end of the day is just listening and validating that person.
hmm
And I think whatever the context, like humans at the end of the day, we all just want to feel validated and truly seen and heard. And the fact that you're
mm,
able to offer that to your clients, and it's something that you've brought from doing all of these studies and taking part in these different traditions and ceremonies. Yeah, it's so beautiful that you're able to bring that through into the connections that you make in the professional sphere. Like I'm wondering, have your clients given you feedback around this sort of like emotional intelligence and connection that you're able to cultivate with them?
yeah, they ask me where it comes from, and sometimes I'm willing to tell them it's from the medicine, and sometimes not.
Yeah.
But it is this effect of I've never worked with anyone like this. I've never had this experience before. Like I have that effect on people, and that doesn't not because I'm so unique, but because it is uncommon in a corporate environment to be that. I will say, and I say that it's uncommon. I will say like the strongest, best people who are my people who are big brothers and big sisters to me in the corporate world, they have these same traits. And
Mm-hmm.
the people that I hear like on like whatever, like Tim Ferriss podcast or whatever, who are really hype in corporate, when you hear them talk, you hear the emotional sensibilities of them. And then when you learn more about them, you discover they did some kind of work. And not uncommon that that work included ceremonial medicine.
Yeah,
Not at all uncommon.
it's so true. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, I think we're kind of moving out of that idea now that like business and emotions don't go together, and you got to leave your emotions at the door when you enter into the workplace. Like I feel like that kind of ideology around business is dying, hopefully. I'm sure there are, many industries and companies where it's still kind of the way they do things, but yeah, I'm really happy um to see these types of changes and just this awareness coming into the workplace. Um,
mm,
how would you recommend that leaders, they could be business leaders or entrepreneurs, integrate more of a conscious style of leadership
mm.
without losing that focus on the business goals and the metrics that at the end of the day are important for every business? You can't completely let go of the numbers and the goals and the objectives.
Hmm.
But how can leaders hold those two at the same time?
I think if you're, I may, I'm gonna make up a story based on things that I think I've heard. In the art world, sometimes people are like, if I lose my depression and my drugs and my great crazy wild life, I'll lose my art. And maybe in the business world, there are people who might feel like if they soften their edges, if they soften, they lose the edge. And if I'm a hard driving business professional, because I've been and still am sometimes the person who shows up at 6 a.m. and is there and to 6 p.m. with something. And when I'm needed, I'm very much into that. In the beginning of my career, I think if I tell this story, I'll bring it back around. Um, I moved into my first corporate job. I was maybe I'd done like a 5 year mini career in education. And I came into this like hard driving place where we had clients like Verizon, AT&T. all the big phone carriers, and we were building software for them. And I had one of my first. I I don't love this word mentor because my mentor doesn't know they're my mentor, but I look at some people like big brothers, big sisters. So I had my first big brother, is like my boss's boss. Um, and he comes to me and he goes, Alex, I've seen what you've been doing here. I see you have a lot of visibility here. And I said, is that like good? And he's like, yeah, it's good. It's good. You're seen in a good way. Because I've been volunteering, I do my job, but then I volunteer for other things. I'm running like the department's newsletter for some reason. Um, I'm doing just these very big public things in front of everybody. And he goes, what makes you do so much? I'm just wondering what makes you do so much. And I said, oh, I always think I'm not doing enough. That's why I'm doing so much, because I just assumed I'm not doing enough. And he, as a in a mentoring sort of way, in a big brotherly way, said, the double-edged sword, isn't it? Right? It's a sword that cuts both ways. It cuts forward because look at what you gain. It cuts you back because look at what you lose. If I'm always in that energy of I'm not doing enough, I gotta do more. What's the internal thing, right? It cuts me internally. And now I'm in a place years later where I keep that edge because I know how to work. I know how to work hard. I know how to set an objective and move toward it. And I know how to bring other people with me to move toward an objective. I know how to measure it and I want to do that, but I no longer have the conflict inside of me. So I'm peaceful inside of me. So I can maintain the edge. And in some ways better because when we have the internal conflict, we're trying to save ourselves when we do the work. I don't have a need to save myself. And again, at all, a little, probably, I still have it a little. It doesn't disappear entirely. The ego's not gone, not from me. Um, but that can be a distraction too. When I'm trying to move toward the objectives for the purpose of looking good and safe and being okay, and everyone is excited that Alex is here, rather than we've decided that together that these objectives are important to us and as a team we can be on mission and go toward them. Like I'm actually stronger at reaching the objectives, so I don't lose the edge. Instead, I don't have to spend so much energy to get the same results because I'm not both driving the energy forward and trying to figure out manage the dissonant energy inside of myself. That energy is available now. It's freed up to drive forward better. And again, now I can pay attention to what's going on around me because I'm not so focused on what's going on internally. I'm going, Barbara, I'm making up a name. Barbara's having a rough time right now. Let me go sit with her because I can see Barbara now.
Yeah, I love that. I think, yeah, there's this idea, like you said, that getting in touch with that side might mean that, business leaders are not as effective and impactful, but actually it's the contrary because
Yeah,
you're able to, like you said, just let go of those internal triggers, those internal stories, and
yeah.
they really kind of do things for the interest of the collective. Um,
And I want to add before we go
yeah,
into another thing, if it's okay.
yeah.
Um, I'm so much more peaceful inside of me that other people can't do anything with me. So when I'm sitting in a negotiation and someone hopefully is not on the other side of the table from me, but we're trying to work out a deal, and someone starts to bring in interesting tactics to persuade or manipulate or something, they don't really touch me. I'm not mad about it. I'm not playing the game because I don't care. I'm just trying, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to win anything anymore. When I've worked with a startup where the CEO, I was hired in by the COO, and the CEO is a person who part of the way that he, I'll say, enrolled people to do what he wanted was to be really kind of angry and fearsome. And so people would start to be afraid of his emotions and they would kind of cower and they'd be unhappy, but they would like, I've worked with a few people like this who use some kind of force to bend someone's arm, to twist someone's arm to get a yes out of them, to do the work, to show up the way they want them to show up. And it has no effect on me anymore because I have such a peace inside of me. Because what if my arm's getting twisted by that, what's happening? I want I want that person to approve of me. I want that person to feel good about me. I want that person not to be mad. I don't want the world to be mad at me. Now I'm kind of like, you know what? It's okay. The world's mad at me. It's not my favorite thing, but I'm inside of me. I don't have this like, oh no, it's gone. It used to be there. It's mostly gone now. It shows up. but it's mostly gone. And so this, because I've cultivated this peace inside of me, the terrors of the outside world, whether that's a person or a situation, they just don't they just don't really phase me, which again allows me to get to work. It allows
Mm.
me to get to work. So it's harder to manipulate me in a negotiation. It's harder for me to be like, oh no, the resource is scarce. It's harder for me to worry about competition. It's just like I'm peaceful, so I show up and I do what I need to do. I can evaluate, and that means that if I'm not in this, because when we're scared, when we're running, when we're frustrated, when we're tense, when we've got the dissonance, they I don't know if this is true, but I've heard like literally when we're threatened and we're running and there's a line or whatever, our vision goes from the peripheral to the direct. So we can only see what's in front of us. So the energy changes. It's all about moving out of the negative situation. I don't feel negative in situations that other people feel negative about. So my vision isn't like this. It's like this. I can still see. I can still breathe. I can still think. That comes from these practices.
Mm. And what are you doing like on the daily to help cultivate that sense of inner peace? Like what are you meditating? Yeah, tell us
Yeah, I
about,
wish. I
yeah,
wish. But I do breathe. I mean, not and always intentionally, but like I catch it's the moment to moment thing of like, oh, I'm tight.
yeah,
I've been tight in ceremony before. Like I've learned in ceremony how to like my initial ceremonies, especially with ayahuasca, like my whole body, my leg, my thighs come up to protect my gut, my arms come up to protect. Uh, and then over many ceremonies, I would like push my thighs down. You don't need like first I'd just be like this the whole night. I'm so uncomfortable. And then later, it's like, okay, I don't need to be uncomfortable. Push the thighs down. I physically push my body open again, and then it would close. I'd push it open, and then it would close. And then later, I started to soothe my body. Okay, massage. Okay, relax, relax. I tell my body relax. But then later, it'd come up again. And then later ceremonies, and we're talking over the course of a couple of years. Later ceremonies, I'm going, my body's telling me something. My body's feeling like it might be unsafe. It's protecting me. Let me check the environment. I'm looking around. I'm feeling uncomfortable because I took the medicine and it's there doing stuff and working. Okay, but I've been here before. I know that that's okay. It's uncomfortable. I know it's okay. Okay, body starts to relax. I'm looking around. Is there anybody around here doing crazy nonsense that's making me uncomfortable, right? Am I in a safe environment? Oh yeah, I'm pretty safe here. Okay. Body relaxes. Okay. Thank you, body, for telling me, right? So these things because when you're when you're in these ceremonies, especially the feeling is so present and so intense, you can't forget it. So I think part of the reason, like, it would be great if I had a daily practice. I would like to, and I try, and I forget that I was trying for like a few weeks, and I remember, oh yeah, I was trying. So like, it would be great. And I think being in these situations, first of all, in the ceremonies, but also in the community, like we're constantly together in community learning because when you get in these ceremonies, you meet people to keep going to the practices. Like I'm in because of the world I'm in now, the spiritual world I'm in now. I'm in some event where we're breathing and meditating twice a week, probably. I'm in a ceremony, I'm in a circle, I'm in a men's group, I'm on a call with mags. Like there's something that's reminding me of what I learned. That's reminding me that I can breathe. That's reminding me to come back to my center. That's reminding me to come back to peace. So in that way, because I have community, I have the accountability and it's happening. It's not happening daily. And because the experiences are so intense, you sometimes you once you see something, you can't unsee it, right? I can't unsee it. So now I feel the tightness in my body and I notice it like never before. I don't need to practice necessarily because I'm doing the work along the way. And so I'm having a day and I'm like, oh man, there's all this agitation inside of my brain right now. At least I see it. I've learned that that means I need to take a break and recenter. Oh, I've got some tension. Somebody's saying something right now and I'm feeling tension. Are they related? Let me take a breath and start to process what's actually happening so it's not all agitation that I don't understand. So I think, I don't remember what the question was, but I feel like it's been answered.
no, it's definitely, and I think what you're speaking to as well is the nervous system regulation that a lot of
Mm,
people are kind of becoming more aware to at the moment is
yeah.
like this mind-body connection. It's not like, okay, everything that happens from here up happens here up, and then everything that happens from the neck down is just like stays in the body. It's like a constant two-way communication
Yeah.
stream. And when we're in that position of clenching. I find myself doing it as well. And I've had similar processes in ceremony where I've kind of just been like, no, relax.
Yeah.
Like sit up straight, relax the shoulders, and just like breathing deeply, and the whole energy can shift when you're in the
Mm-hmm.
middle of like an ayahuasca ceremony by just changing your posture, relaxing your muscles, and like it's the same, in the day to day. And what's that's doing is it's sending the messages to our brain that we're safe and that we don't need to be in a state of
Yeah.
flight. So yeah, the nervous system regulation, I feel like, is a tool for all areas of life, not getting, just being that awareness that you're talking about, not getting triggered
Mm,
in a meeting and realizing, okay, like this person is saying something, like, am I telling a story that's based on like a wound from my childhood that's then
yeah.
and responding by, activating my nervous system and just having that awareness, like, okay, it's not about never having these reactions and never feeling these difficult emotions, but just being able to bring the awareness and not take things so personally, like you were saying. I think
Mm-hmm.
inspiring. Yeah. Thank you, Alex.
And I want to say, like, I feel like, what we're on to talk about is the spiritual connection. And naturally, a lot of the practical things come up because there's a practical element of all this, like regulating nervous system. And that's something you can learn in lots of places. The spiritual component of this is um, I see the world, I see the purpose of my being here is totally different
Hmm.
being here in the world. Like I feel like I've heard it referred to maybe as like a karmic work. Like there's a work before me and there's a work before us. And like I'm not here um to sell $1 million of software. Like it's not, it might be on my path. It might be part of my experience here. It's not my work here. My work here is something like the things that come to me over and over again, like the relational things that I'm getting better at, the finding the peace, the connecting to whatever it is that's divine, just seeing that that's what this whole thing is. That's the spiritual component. And it has practical applications. It happens to be practical because I show up to a situation where people are feeling very intense about the moment we're in, and I am not, because I'm like, oh, right, it's not about this. And and so I'm here, I'll work on whatever's in front of me because I have a worldly duty. I have a worldly duty. I'm in the business meeting to do the business meeting, right? That doesn't go away. I'm not denying that. I'm very much in that. And like it's not the only thing. I remember I used to work, and I mean, some of my learnings and memories are even before like the first ayahuasca ceremony, but that helps me understand too that I've been on the spiritual path all along. I was never not on it. I just wasn't intentionally on it, as intentional about it. Right now, I'm more intentional and conscious of the path that I'm walking. But even before like my first journey, I remember I go to the office and I walk into the building, the big box, and then inside of that big box, I go to the second floor, the smaller box, and then I go to my cubicle, the smaller box, and then I look at my laptop, the other box. And so I'm in a box and a box and a box looking at a box. So I'm like layer three of the floor level nesting doll. And I'm in there and I'm like, this is my world. These boxes are my world. And the most important thing is the assignment. And by Thursday, I need to make sure that the client has agreed to this thing and that the unit tests have all passed so we can deliver it to the client, right? And those things are all true. And also I go outside and look at the sky and I'm like, none of this matters. None of this matters. And I go to my car and I drive somewhere where there are trees and I take a nap during lunch because none of it matters. And then I come back and work again because it does fucking matter. And so I mean, that I feel like I don't know, that's spiritual, right? To be like, it both does and doesn't matter. Like the things I do matter, the worldly things that I do matter, the business things that I do matter. My clients are trying to build something that's special to them, that matters. And for me to walk their path with them, that matters. And if we miss the deadline, it's going to be okay because the world's still there, right? The sky. Every time I look up, no matter what, I see what politicians back home are doing, and I get frustrated. And then I go outside and I see the sky still there. I'm looking at it right now. It's still up there. Like everything keeps flowing. The Vision Quest, we talked about this, Mags. I just did my second one, and the thing that happens is the first day or two, I'm just pissed. I'm just pissed. I'm angry with Avilo for ever introducing me to anything like this. I'm angry that it's either too hot or my socks are wet. I'm angry that I'm getting bit up. I'm angry that I'm by myself. I like to see th I like to watch Netflix on Friday, on Friday night instead of go out. I'm not doing that. I'm in the fucking darkness by myself, and it sucks. And and then all that, and then I'm mad about a conversation I had, and I'm mad that like my dad's t treating me the way he is, and I'm mad. I'm just angry at everything. And the Vision Quest is 4 days. You're by yourself, all by yourself. There's no food, there's no water there unless it's raining on you, in which case there's too much water. Um, and then somewhere halfway through the second day, it all just dips away, and I just watch the rhythms of nature and the hummingbird that comes by every morning. Uh, I don't have a watch at there, so maybe an hour after the sun rises, and then comes back and buzzes through the same tree, an hour or two before the sun sets. And in the mid-afternoon, a lizard might come by, and the carpenter ants seem to be going up the tree at this time and down the tree in the rhythms of nature. Like the world just go, and the sun comes up and then it goes down again. And that's the reality. That's the reality of the planet that we're on. And so, like, are the KPIs done at 2 p.m.? Like, what's two, or is the are the deliverables sent to the client by 2 p.m. on Thursday? What's 2 p.m.? What's Thursday? Like, what are we talking about? It's all made up. It doesn't matter. It matters and it doesn't matter at the same time. And so I think that's like the spiritual part of it for me, is understanding that, like, um G Jesus says, and I probably misquoting it because I'm not the best Christian, but he says, I'm in the world, not of the world. And I think people take that to mean like when he says that, they hear, I'm God, damn it. But I think what he's saying is he's both of the things. Where we are, Jesus is a representative of what we can be. We're both of those at the same time. Where I'm in the world, but I'm not of the world. And the inverse is true too. I'm not of the world, but I am in the world. And I
Mm.
think I think that's where that it makes sense to me that spirituality isn't to go float off into the ether. I don't think. I think it's this acknowledgement of the both things are true. I may not be of this world that we experience. I may be something more ethereal, spiritual, beyond the Tuesday deliverables, but
Mm.
also like I'm in the world with the Tuesday deliverables. I
Yeah.
still got to eat. I still enjoy the luxury of like a cold water on a hot day.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. And you and I, we've spoken kind of about this tendency that sometimes you see in spiritual circles and groups of like, okay, you start drinking ayahuasca, you start doing this, doing that, and you've got to escape the matrix, like get out of the matrix, like quit your corporate job and like
Yeah,
move to the jungle and sell all your belongings. And like for some people, power to you. Like that's going to be the best decision of your life. And if that's what you need to do to be healthy and live a good life, then go for it. But for most people, it's not going to be possible to just kind of like hang everything up in that way. And I think what you're speaking to is exactly like how people can kind of follow this spiritual path and find a deeper meaning in life but still show up and find purpose in their day job at the same time. Do you have any suggestions for how people who maybe they're even feeling a little bit disillusioned with the corporate world, but
mm,
for whatever reason, they've got kids, they've got a mortgage to pay, like they have to stay in that job at least for a period of time. Like, how do you suggest that they can find that purpose and that meaning in the work whilst knowing at the same time that it doesn't really matter that much and it's not a
yeah.
reflection on them.
I'm ordering my thoughts 'cause I have a few things to say about that.
Yeah.
The first thing I would say is like the people I have heard people say like I'm escaping the matrix, and it's like you're in the matrix, baby. If
Yeah.
you're on this planet, if you're eating, if you I don't care if you're like plugged into the office or you're peeling bananas on the beach in the Caribbean, like you're in the matrix. We're all here. I can see you. You can see me and I can see you. We're in this thing together. You're not here. Um, I don't think it's necessary that everyone like there are some people who we need those people who are up in the mountain and out in the jungle. I mean, we need those people, those guides. It's beautiful that we have that there are people who are willing to and capable of going out into the places, the lives that they become medicine people or other kinds of guides, and that's their whole existence. And I'm so grateful for that because I experience, I get to work with those people here and there. And I think most of us can't stay on the mountain. I think most of us we go to the mountain and we have to bring it back home, and that's the real integration, and that's the real power, and that's the real healing. The healing isn't. I mean, I feel like I've heard. I reference Ram Dass sometimes because he has these stories of his experiences, and he went off to he met a guru in India, and he was there a long time. He was like, I want to stay here forever. And his guru was like, go back home. You need to go home. You can't stay here. Go back, take what you have here, and take it back to New York or wherever this guy's going. And I first of all think like that's okay. There's roles for everyone. When I was in Thailand, I was speaking to a monk who was maybe 70 years old, been a monk his whole life since childhood. And he said this thing. He's like, we can't go where you're going. Like, we can't live there where you live. You need to go back and be there. We can't do it. We can't be monks and also go to the office. So it's not for everybody, and it's not necessary that everybody do those things. I think that's the first thing. Like it's just not required of us to do that. If that's your calling, that's your calling, but it's not required of all of us to do that. Um, I think the integration is really important for all of us. And I think we, what I learned through the vision quest, and that was repeated multiple times by the abuela, is I thought I was going to do the vision quest for myself. One, because it's a cool adventure. Like, oh, neat, I'm going to do this cool spiritual field trip. So one, cool. I'm pretty cool because I do these random things out in the world, right? Aren't I cool? And the next is like maybe I'll get some healing out of it. Maybe I'll get closer to understanding something about this universe. That would be great. And those things show up, right? I get to talk about my adventures, my spiritual adventures, and I get to do some work with myself. But that's not what it's for. Totally. I mean, part of it is also like it's an offering. So I'm offering myself, my time, my discomfort to spirit. I'm offering it to a path. I'm offering it to community. And so practically when I go and I change, I come back to the community changed, and that ripples out. The way I am as a man, like I'm a um man, men in this world who haven't done work and found the kind of like love and peace that you find in these things, they're unintentionally, unconsciously causing a lot of harm. And so just me changing as a human, as a man, and then going back into society and what I do that prevents harm and heals harms that have been done just by existing differently. Like it's a service to my community, as a service to and it's a service to the world that we're in. And so like that's why we do these things, even if I'm stuck in the office. Like that's why to go do this work. It's a service to spirit. It's an offering. It's a service to the world. That's what I think it's really for. And so if I'm in a position where like, hey, I gotta make bread. I gotta bring bread home. Yeah, that makes sense to all of us, most of us, right? That makes sense. Why? I don't know why you wouldn't go and make this offering also. And I I think it'd be great if everyone could like sit in whatever practice, whether I mean, I'm not sitting in a daily practice of meditation. I wish I was, but I'm not. But every little bit counts, and it's cumulative, and the trajectory shifts. And so I think any little opportunity to do this, whether it is joining a talk like this just to have the expansion of what's possible, changes the trajectory. So just being exposed gives expansion and could change the trajectory. And then yeah, a one-time retreat. I mean, do something a little wild. That's an offering too, because when you I assume most people are in North America. When set that long weekend aside or week, hop on a plane, go to a foreign land, don't make money during that time, maybe, um, put your body and spirit and brain and emotions through a trial, and then come out the other side of that trial. That few degrees of change. life-changing. One time might be all it takes to really, um, really be someplace and be and access something that you weren't accessing before and give something back to the world that you weren't in a position to give back to the world before.
Thank you. Yeah, no, that's so beautiful. That's kind of like what answers what my next question was going to be, which is like, how do you encourage others to find a sense of purpose that extends beyond the workplace? Because,
Mm,
I imagine there are a lot of people who are kind of like in this quote unquote matrix,
mm,
um, you know, hustling, grinding, doing the whole corporate thing, but they know that there's something more to life. Yeah,
yeah,
what would you suggest as a first step? Maybe a whole ayahuasca retreat might be, a bit of a big first step for a lot of
yeah.
people, but people who are just kind of like seeking that, yeah, that connection to something bigger than the KPIs.
Mm. Can we do an experiment together? Can we do an
Sure.
exercise?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll all do it together if you're whoever volunteers, whoever's happy to do it. We'll close our eyes and picture the child or the teen, picture a teenage self, 14, 15, 16 year olds. You, the adolescent girl or boy or ungender defined, the person you are, or 13, 14, 15. Can you see that person?
Yeah.
What does that person think of you right now? Would they understand what you're up to right now in life? Would they be excited about it? Would they get it? They're taking a good look at you. Are they understanding and excited about what they see? You
Do you
want to
want me
try it out?
to?
Would you be happy to? You don't have to. It can be a hypothetical, but would you be happy to share?
Yeah, no, I think understand. I don't think she would understand, but I think she would feel that I'm living something that I really care about and that I'm really
Mm,
passionate about. So
mm,
I think that understanding on the rational level of like what this work is, I don't think she would have a clue. But
yeah,
but I think she'd be proud that I'm doing something that gives me a lot of purpose.
yeah. I would say 10 years ago, if someone asked me that question and I visualized it, if I met my 15-year-old self at the age of say 30 and I would explain my life to them, I would start with, well, what you have to understand is
Yeah.
I'd have a lot of explaining to do. Again, I'm I'm trying to think of the numbers. Say I maybe like in 36 in 2020, however old I was in 2020. Um, I'm walking down the street in Playa del Carmen with a smile on my face, and at that point I've done like my first three ayahuasca ceremonies, and I'm running my own business for the first time, and I'm living life outside of the US, which is something I've dreamed of my whole life and never was willing to let go of. What I talked about earlier, let go of. They're promoting me and they gave me the title and they're giving me the money and I'm so cool and like nice. Do you like me? And I was able to let go of that might not work and go do what I've been dreaming of and not doing for since I was 15. And maybe I was coming home from like my third ayahuasca ceremony. I was smiling. The weather was hot. I'm living the life. And I go home and I turn on Pink Floyd, who I hadn't listened to probably since I was like in my teenage years. And I was like, my 15-year-old self would get this.
Mm,
I don't have to, there's no caveat. I don't have to explain anything. Would they rationally understand all the things? No.
right.
But would they like get it on a vibrational level? Would they be like, yeah, there would be no caveats. I'd be like, look, and my 15-year-old self would be like, yeah, I feel that. That's good. That's good. That's good.
Awesome. That's a great exercise. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah. And that's the check. The check is, and so a more direct like an exercise, but the answer to the question is like remember. It's not to go find it, it's to remember it.
Mm,
It's there.
yeah. Thank you.
It's not something you need to go find. It's something you already have. You already knew. A lot of this stuff I feel like, and that's, I mean, that's been a huge spiritual understanding. When I've had someone, I'm sitting in ceremony and someone whispers, remember to me. And I'm like, what do you mean, remember what? Like I'm my first time here. What are you talking about? But then I try, I'm there and I remember, and then it comes, and then something comes. And it's not a fact that I'm remembering. It's not like this is what the universe, it's something else of like the feeling of like, remember joy, remember simplicity.
Yeah. No, it's so true. A lot of, these insights, messages that it's not new information. It's a deeper reminder and it allows
Mm.
us to connect with it on a deeper level, gain that deeper knowing. But yeah, it's about remembering a lot of it. I love that. Brennan, I saw you commented not for everyone. What are you referring to there?
Depends upon what your childhood was like.
Mm.
Um, I was emotionally abandoned at a very young age, and my young person would, and this is something I've processed and dealt with, but like my young person would look at me as a complete fucking failure right now
Mm.
because I, what I learned very early on was the way to get attention and emotional support was through achievement. And so when my career didn't go the way I thought it would when I was an A student, and got a full ride to scholarship, full boat scholarship to college and all of that, I was supposed to be a huge success. I was supposed to be, well, I was going to be Secretary of State. I was going to be this big, accomplished person in whatever field that I chose. And that's not the way that my career worked out, in large part because I got in my own way so much. And it wasn't until I started doing a lot of work, uh, 5.5 years ago or so, some of which involved psychedelics and some of which did not, did I learn to let go of that and appreciate myself for who I am and not attach myself to those accomplishments. That there would be an awful lot of explaining to the young person in me because they wouldn't get it at all. Like it would be so completely foreign. So, I really think that maybe there's some remembering if you had a very supportive childhood growing up with parents who uh, expressed love for you unconditionally, and then you got caught up in something and you forgot that. But for me, these are emotional learnings that I came to, you know, post 50 years old. And now I get it. I've done a lot of growing over the past 5-ish years. And so I don't think you can, I don't think, I don't think you can make a blanket statement that to say it's about remembering. I don't think it always is.
I take it back.
I think it's a very conditional, situational thing. That's just my
Yeah,
view.
I love it. I think it's some version of thank you for sharing that. I think it's there may be some parallel exercise that works for people who are in a similar situation that would work better than remembering that. I've found that this one works for folks that I've talked to a lot of the time, but
Well, there
it's not
is.
universal. What
There
would you
is a
recommend?
parallel exercise, and I've done it, and it's uh, I did it prior to meeting the folks in Colibri Garden, and I also in a psilocybin ceremony at Evilo's house went further into this, but it was about looking at that young child and with compassion and loving kindness and like as an adult who has broken through spiritually, um, being there to comfort that scared kid who was on his own and who only wanted his parents to pay attention to him.
Mm.
So it's yeah, the exercise that I did was like, envision yourself as this child, and talking about this makes me kind of emotional, but how would you care for that young child?
Mm.
You've had
That's
a
a
lot
great one. It's a great exercise.
Thank you so much, Brennan. I really appreciate you sharing that with us. Yeah, these things are nuanced and personal, so it's important to call that out. Thank you. So let's open it up for questions. Does anybody have any questions for Alex? Feel free to just jump in, raise your hand, type it in the chat, or it can just also be reflections on everything that's been discussed. Share a personal experience of your own journey.
Well, I would ask as a prompt, if people have questions, great. And as a prompt, it might be you saw that you saw this event posted and it was intriguing enough that you joined. Was there something that you were hoping to get out of this or to see or to experience that you didn't?
Yeah, that's great.
Well, I'm going to jump in because I like to talk. I joined I was very interested in this because the work that I've done over the past 5 years has so changed my outlook on what my role is. Alex, I also work in tech, and I'm going to be reaching out to you on LinkedIn because I want to talk to you more.
You're welcome.
But like I've been really trying to take the lessons that I've learned over the past 5 years into the workplace in terms of how I show up, how I interact with other people, and I really believe that I think that I'm at my best when I'm helping others and teams to thrive, and that's how I'm in a job search right now, and like that's kind of the role that I'm looking for, is how to do just that. And I'm a long-term product guy.
Hmm.
I think we speak very much a lot of the same language, Alex, in the 9 to 5 world. And so I was just interested, like this was a topic like, oh, I can sink my teeth into that. And it's hearing your story, Alex, has been super interesting and valuable. So no,
Thank you.
there's not anything that I've missed from this. This has been great.
Gracias. Thank you so much. I appreciate you saying that. I look forward to connecting, Brennan. I'm laughing because I'm in Ebalo's house actually, and he's offering me mambe. And it's been fun. It's a funny thing for me to be on a Zoom call with medicines. Some of this for me, I'm just to share like, Megs, did you say coming out of the closet? Did you say that to me?
Out of the spiritual closet.
The
Yeah, like
spiritual closet. Yeah.
maybe yeah, Jessica, that would be great, wouldn't it, if we all had Mambe? It's cool.
I've never
Feel
Maybe
had it
self-conscious even.
actually.
Hold on. I'm gonna go off camera and do it. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Oh.
does anybody
Uh-huh.
feel like they're not able to kind of share about their spiritual path and journey in their current job? I know some of us, it is our job, but is anybody in, company,
I'll
role,
go quick.
organization where they wouldn't be able to?
I'll go quick while my nose is not dripping. I was gonna
Mm-hmm.
joke that I've joined the call when I saw it. I was like, I'm gonna join for a challenge, the first Colibri Garden call that I'm not gonna cry on. But here I am with my tissues and towel.
We got
Because
her.
I'm super bloody sick. But again, it's always about the mental reframe. Like a few days before I got sick, I read somewhere that, in Western medicine, you see sick as suffering and like disease going through you and trying to kill you. Whereas in Eastern, like Far East, they believe that it's kind of like an energetic purge. So I'm like, okay, so this is my pre-ceremony. I'm like starting early,
Mm-hmm.
getting the body prepared. But yeah, I think like what you said earlier resonated with me, which is like when you are doing the work, like you have been doing the work, but you haven't been aware that it hasn't been done with a purpose. So I've always been on a spiritual path, but since my dark night of the soul #2, a year and a half ago, that now it's with a purpose. So for me, it's like I need to be in the community. I want to be in the community because I want to learn as much as possible. And like, sometimes people say different things, and it's as if the universe, the void, is speaking directly to me. Like I get to hear what I need to hear at the right time, and so that's pretty much why I showed up. Thanks.
Thank you for being here. Always a pleasure to have you, Jessica.
Gregory has a thought.
Alex, I wanted to say thank you. Before I talk about what I was looking for when I first came I saw the seminar, but I was surprised to see everything else that you brought to the table I was going to say tonight, this afternoon, and
2 a.m. your time.
Yeah, it's there's so many layers that you covered. You talked about like how I think you've centered and grounded yourself in the business setting with regards to maybe imposter syndrome and performance anxiety, and you talked about negotiation or power plays that people make, and it just feels like the work that you've done around the plant medicine has sort of like both opened you up but also allowed you to center and settle in, so that when you're in the business place, I pick up that you're able to be of service to others because you're bringing this really grounding energy, and maybe you're talking to somebody and they are saying, oh, Thursday, 2 p.m., we got to get these products out. And you're like, hey, maybe we just need to take a minute and just sit here and, maybe work through this, or you can show up for them in a different way than you would in the business world, where maybe they just say, yeah, you just got to get it done, versus, oh, I could show some empathy. I've been through this before. Now I've been through the plant medicine, so now I can show up for this person in a different way and make them feel safe. Maybe that's what they need. Maybe they need a feeling of safety, or maybe they just need a chance to just have a breathe, just to have a chance to breathe a little bit. I think what I was trying to look for tonight is that I'm having this experience of the matrix devolving, so that we can evolve. And so to me, I have this experience of like reality sort of coming apart, like I guess I was thinking of today about like a sweater, and the threads are coming loose and it's breaking apart, and we've got so many things happening in politics and all these conflicting dualities, left versus right, dark versus light, fear versus love, and it's making things very complex and very chaotic for some more sensitive people. And I guess I'll speak for myself. And so how you're navigating that between the business world, which still calls out for that kind of energy, like when you talked about the artists who didn't want to lose their edge. I've heard many business people over the years talk about that. I have to be this way. I have to drive myself like this. If I lose this edge, this is how I got to where I am, And then there's that book about what got you here isn't what's going to take you there. So it's like all these skills and stuff that maybe people got to be that CEO, for example, that's not going to get him to the next level, because he's going to have to change his leadership style if he's going to take that business to another more expansive level. I'm making up, because the techniques that he's using is putting some kind of cap on where he's at. So I guess to try to get more brief here, I guess with all these changes, like I would even include AI and robotics, it's kind of, there seems like there's just this big uplift that's happening. And I'm just really trying to show up for different spaces to try to figure out how am I going to navigate this going forward, you know, because I still want to be the calm in the storm, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
like I said,
Can I
you
share my?
covered a lot of layers tonight. So
Yeah, I feel
I'm going to be
resonant.
processing a lot of what you've shared already. So
I feel really resonant with that. Could I share a thing that you I'm gonna share a thing on my screen that you kind of rose up in me, and you didn't really ask about it, but it just like your share called out something that I've been sharing, and so it's not in a direct response to you, but Megs, I get to do what I want, right?
Yeah, cool.
There's this. So I learned. Figure out where to start this because even though I think it sounds crazy. Um, there's this thing called shadow work. So I've just been trying to be more and more open to like whatever comes up because I'm kind of like, please don't talk to me about crystals or numerology or I'm still in that vein of like really fighting like the horoscopes and it's not because it's wrong. It's because like I've been in a place where that has a meaning to me. Those things have a meaning to me where it's like I'm in my own battle around like some of this stuff. And I'm learning more and more that these tools like tarot and stuff like that are um they're multi-layered. And I may have a resistance to when somebody like feels that they're channeling a message about the future to me. I have some resistance to that. At the same time, interacting with some of these tools allows me to receive messages, to be more open, to see things from different points of view. So in that process, I met with a woman in Mexico to do shadow work. And we got into that work of some things I was trying to look at the shadow work being like there are these parts of us that we call dark in the shadow, and we reject them or hide them or fight them. And then sometimes they emerge in these ways that we don't like, these ugly ways that have us doing things or interacting with people in ways or the world in ways that we wouldn't want to do. And yet they're a part of us. And so shadow work is this idea of like go into the shadow, find what's really there, put some light on it, and see how you can healthfully integrate it into your full. I'm defining it just because I realized I said a word that maybe people don't know, and it's in this world of like the work. But I'm not going to talk about that. What she had me do was go and make an altar for the first time, and she was like, "I don't care if you don't believe in crystals, just go get some. Figure, these crystals are for grounding. These are for this. I just want you to be in the habit of like doing something that you are have something physical to commune with spirit." So she's like, "You're gonna make an altar. Go to this crystal shop, like, buy yourself some crystals." So okay, I do that. I go to the crystal shop on Wednesday because it's open late on Wednesdays, and I'm buying crystals. And as I'm checking out, I noticed that outside in the patio of the crystal shop, women have been coming to sit at a table, and there's just like something's happening. And I go, "What in the world's happening here?" And she goes, "Yeah, yeah, we're late. We're open late on Wednesdays because we do a tarot exchange and we learn tarot together." So I led from shadow work to having an altar to what I jokingly say is a coven of of Mexican witches. It's just normal people who happen to be women interested in tarot. And they invited me to join, and so I went Wednesday after Wednesday for a couple months, and it's just me, one gringo, and like 13 women. That's the right number for a coven, I hear. And anyway, I'm gonna share all this why to come to this card, called the Tower card, and it's pretty ghastly, isn't it? Like I don't like to look at it. There's a tower being destroyed and people are falling out of it, like things are getting destroyed. And the tower card represents this idea of like big, important structure in my life, and life has fallen apart. And Gregory, I promise this is going to relate to something you said in 25 seconds. Big important structure in my life has fallen. So I lost my job. And I'm like, how am I going to eat? And this is my identity, and this is my world. It's my everything. My marriage has fallen apart. Anything like that. I feel like sometimes what we see in politics feels like that. It's almost like a betrayal. It's supposed to be this way. Justice is like this. This is what's fair. This is what I know to be true. The solid building that I put my feet on, right, that I live in, that I trust to support me, is crashed to the ground and it's done. And so it first of all represents this kind of destruction, but the knowledge about it, Jennifer, is sharing that it's her favorite card. It says in the chat. I can't read it clearly, but it says, "This is my favorite card." And what I've come to learn about this card is it feels like my world is falling apart. And it's not that, it's your illusion of the world is falling apart. You feel betrayed and hurt because the structure has fallen as you've believed would support you, believed was true, right? Has fallen apart, and it was never there. You never had that security. You see the politics and somebody's going against all the things that we thought were how it's supposed to be, and it's tearing us apart because what we knew to be true, the firm ground of legal system disappears. And it was never there. What we learned is it's never there. The betrayal is it was never there. The relationship was never. And the relationship might have been there, but it wasn't the thing. It wasn't the structure and ground that you needed. The ground is the ground. The job, yeah, you had a job, but you had this belief in security. The sense of security was false. That's the illusion. The illusion disappeared. The building didn't disappear. It was never there. The illusion is disappearing. I think that's, Gregory, when you refer to like the chaos in the world, I think that's what we experience over and over. It's seeing the illusion disappear from under us. And just to belabor this, the next card in the series of the major arcana, this is number 16, I guess. I'm reading the Roman numbers here. The next one's called the Star. The Star, and this you can learn about like the Fool's Journey, which is the journey through all the first 21 cards of the tarot. And so the next card is what we see is a person who has nothing, no clothes, but she's peaceful, and she's working with the water and the land. She's working with emotions and truth and grounding. She's in the starlight. Her tower has fallen. All the clothes are gone. The illusion is gone, and now she's starting with a purity. The nudity here represents like the purity. There's no illusion, there's no mask, there's no costume. When I put on clothes, part of what I'm doing is putting on the costume of who I am in this world. For her, that's gone. There's no costume, there's no building. It's just ground and water and the elements, and that's it. And so I think sometimes when our life falls apart, we feel like it's falling apart. What's actually happening is we have this opportunity, the mask, the costume, the illusion gone, and we're only left with the purity of what is, and we get to start again without the illusion. And I think we're having some of our illusions removed. And that's what I learned from the witches, who I found from the crystals, who I found from the shadow work, who I found from an opening in ayahuasca, to allow myself to engage with things that in the past I would have been like, this is dumb. I don't know if that's helpful or that's just Alex going on a tangent that he finds interesting, but here we are.
Alex, that was helpful to me. Thank you. Because I've been having that message coming to me. So thanks for that.
Thanks for being open.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. It was great to have your tarot cards at the Sundance. I have to say, it's not the tool that I expected you to whip out at dinner one evening at the Sundance, but it was really special. And I love your take on them, that it's not necessarily that these are like something that's going to, divine your future and give you, predict what's coming for you in your life, but that it's an opportunity to kind of reframe and have a different perspective and look at areas of your life that the cards are kind of calling you to look at. So yeah, it was really cool for me to connect with them in that way.
I think a lot of these things are for finding the truth. And I think, for at least this is my experience of it, it helps me with the spiritual stuff. Like I fought it because I was like, you're telling me how can you know what the truth is? And people come and they're like, absolutely, the number 7 and this particular card means this thing, and Jesus said this and he meant exactly, you must do this. And I think all my resistance to it has been like, you're I've just got a lot of charlatans who know nothing more than I do, pretending that they do and convincing other people that they do, and getting caught in this trap, but interacting with the tools and the medicine in this way, it allows me to go, there are truths in it. It just might not be the kind of truth of like the apple is red. It might actually be like, oh, I can see things differently with the different set of eyes now. I mean, these things all allow me to see things with a different set of eyes.
Yeah, and just giving ourselves permission to take what resonates with us and what we know in ourselves to be true, and leave
Mm,
what doesn't resonate,
hmm
because ultimately, like, that truth is inside of us.
Yeah, I think so. That's one of the things I appreciate about the way that you and Ibilo and I think understand these ceremonies is it's always like, if we're not going to the guide for the guide to tell us what to do, we're going to the guide to have someone guide us through some kind of exercise experience that we then get to sit with. So it's not about, let me tell you what this means. It's, let me help you navigate the discovery that you're on, the
Mm.
discovery journey you're on.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Any other questions for Alex before we close things up? Have about 10 minutes left. Pierre.
Pierre says,
Yeah, hi Alex. Good morning from the South Pacific. Wow, what you said about being a consultant and removing yourself from the driving seat and just being on the passenger seat and connecting emotionally with the driver was really impactful for me. Thank you for that. Really shifted perspectives. I'm really happy I heard that. And also, if I understood you right, you said your spirituality came first and foremost with community more than your personal practices on a day-to-day life, which, yeah, also that was a good thing to hear from you. My question for you is, when you're in a business situation, sorry for the beeping here, when you're in a business situation and then you see that you're agreeing on the long-term vision, but there are some deeply conflicting emotional or values coming in the way. How do you handle them?
mm. First, I want to say it was nice to hear you say that thing back to me of community, because I think that's right. Because as you were saying, I don't think I even realized what I was saying, but my spiritual practice is community first. And as you were talking, I had it pop up like all the times I try to do it by myself. And I'm like, the altar that I don't go to, the meditation that I'm angry as I'm sitting there, and this, and that I joined the group and like sitting for 20 minutes and either breathing or humming or being silent is nothing somehow. If I'm supported by the communal will, I don't know what it is. That's huge. It's helpful for me to hear you reflect it back, because I'm going, oh yeah, that's why, the solo practices are important, of course, and also like they're not for me, um, they're not as strong. And also like going back to what I said about we're here to do some work, like I believe I'm here to do work with everybody else who's here. And so and it's important to go off into the corner and do whatever by myself, but it's also important to come back. And so anyway, thank you for sharing that. Helps me. The question is, we're aligned on the vision, but there's something going on in the moment that we're super not aligned on. Is that what it is? Something like that. Because you're not being really specific in a scenario, I'm making up stories of what that might be. Do you want to share a specific thing, or do you want me to go abstract?
Sure, I could talk about my personal experience quickly. I cover 13 countries across the South Pacific, and we work on emergency responses. I'm a mentor on emergency deployments. I'm like the operation guy who will help the teams to set up their stuff. So I'm a consultant. I help them support all their operations. In principle, I really agree. Like you had a tremendous cyclone, people end up with metal roof
Mm,
flying into their legs at 200 kilometers. Yes, like let's get the medical teams ASAP. And then you always have like people say, oh, maybe we should bring some COVID vaccines too and stuff. And I'm like, guys, please give me a break. And that type of stuff kind of like ruffles my feathers, so to speak.
mm,
And I'm like, wow, it really triggers me, you know?
Yeah, it triggers you. So is the question, because as you're talking, I'm like, I have business investigation questions to ask you, and I'm tempted to like be put on my operations hat. And then we're here
I'd
to
love
talk about
to.
the spiritual level of it. So Pierre, if you want to connect, we could do the operations
Well,
part.
I'd love to,
But if
yeah.
you but your real question is this happens, this dissonance and mission, and people are bringing up these things that you feel like aren't the most impactful, relevant thing, and you're experiencing something inside of you that's like triggers, you say, which might, how do you experience that trigger? Is it how you feel triggered? And so what gets triggered? Is it anger? Is it sadness? Is it what's coming out?
Um, Delusion,
Mm,
anger, some sadness, but not too much because I usually go like I'll just like shut down and do my work and ignore.
mm.
But it makes me very effective and I get lots done with half
Yeah,
the
I
energy,
bet.
which I like,
I
but
bet.
I'm shutting down. So
That's the double-edged sword we talked about earlier. Another version of it, right? It cuts both ways. You're like, wow, we're like slicing through the trees here, the brush, and then you're like slicing yourself too, because you're shut down. I'm assuming shut down means you're disconnecting from your own emotions and also probably from the other people.
really,
Yeah. And it's hard to be in that discomfort, isn't it? Because the reason you shut down is because you're in a sorry, you're in a moment where like it really sucks to be in connection with yourself and others, because the feeling of being in connection with yourself and others in that moment is terrible. Yeah.
yeah,
I feel terrible things. It's really uncomfortable. I'm gonna that's enough of that. Put that to the side. I guess I'll just get to work. Very productive now. All the energy is there. Yeah. Yeah, I
completely.
feel that. Hmm. And you would prefer, you want to do something different than that? Because that sounds good too, right? What's wrong with that? Why do you want,
Yeah,
well, why would you want anything different? I mean, you're asking because you want something different, but why? Why would you want anyone different?
that's like when your values don't align, you know, when there's always like some red signals on the side, like you're happy on one, you're let's say you know where the ship is going, but there's so many icebergs on the way. You're like, ah, shit, how do I navigate that?
How do you navigate the icebergs of people being out of alignment?
Sorry?
How do you, the icebergs are the of being out of alignment? Is that the iceberg? Or is the iceberg
Yeah.
like the icebergs of work, or both?
No, no, it's just being out of alignment. Yeah, exactly.
Hmm. Do you think there'll be a time when you'll never be in when you'll be in complete alignment with everyone around you?
Thank you. Yeah, I guess I need to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's because you have an answer to the question.
Yeah, exactly. Never,
What's
it's
the
never gonna
answer?
happen, right?
It's never gonna happen. Yeah. So what do you how do you reconcile that it's never gonna, you want everyone to be in alignment and it's frustrating when they're not and it's never gonna happen? How do you reconcile that?
Right, right.
It's not a
Yeah, I don't
rhetorical question. You don't know. Okay, that's an answer. I don't know. Good. Great. Awesome. So that's not reconcilable. You can't. You can't reconcile the desire that everyone's always alignment with they never will be. You
that's
can't
it.
reconcile those two things. That's dissonance. You're gonna you now you get to decide. Are you cool? Well, let me ask. Are you cool remaining in that dissonance?
Or am I gonna remove myself? Yeah, no, I'm planning on removing myself hugely.
Removing yourself how? From the dissonance or from the from the people who are on the line? Do you
No,
mean you're going to
yeah,
shut down more, or you're going to?
no. Like go on a different trajectory. Like
Hmm.
and you know, it's not easy to come to that. You know, when you have like you were talking before, all of you know the external validation, like, oh, you're really good at what you're doing. We're seeing you
Hmm.
moving up and blah blah blah. And of course, it's flattering the ego,
Hmm.
and you know, but at the same time, you know, you have to remove yourself. I think it's you know you do something about it, you fully accept it, or you remove yourself. These are the three possible ways that you can
Hmm.
address the situation. And I guess
Hmm.
I'm yeah, I'm getting to the point where I just need to remove myself. Sorry, I don't mean to make this about me, but
No, it's okay. What are
I
you
think you're
removing
correct.
yourself from? From what? Remove yourself from what?
The organization says,
Oh, okay.
right?
Maybe, I mean, that's totally an option. But let me read it back to you so I understand. So, I'm we have a big mission we're aligned on with all the people, pretty much. Seems like everyone's aligned on the big picture mission. As we do smaller things day to day inside of the movement toward that mission, I'm finding that we're not in alignment day to day all the time. I know that it's not possible that all the people around me will be 100% aligned 100% of the time. A solution is to remove myself from the organization where there's not alignment. And then where do you go? Do you go to a place where there is 100% alignment every day, 100% of the time?
Exactly, right? Like it's not realistic yet either.
So I don't know if removing it. So I'm not saying don't remove yourself from the organization. I'm just saying I don't know if it'll solve this problem.
By doing
I
something
don't
so
think this
drastic.
problem doesn't. This problem disappears because you went someplace else, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you could remove yourself from the organization. It just doesn't seem like a solution to this particular problem. Might be the solution to other things.
Yeah.
So then what's the option? Because it sounds, if I'm wrong, I may be wrong, but I have a guess that, and you're kind of, I think you're confirming my guess that there's no, unless you're living in the cave by yourself, and even then I'm not so sure, there's no way to be in a place where everyone around you is 100% alignment with you 100% of the time. So you're fucked. So
Yeah.
the answer is you're not, it's, what's the answer then? Is that the answer you're gonna go with? You can resign yourself, I'm fucked. Or you can do something else. What can you do instead?
Yeah.
Is this a rhetorical question?
Part of me being high energy would be I'm gonna
Mhm.
go fight them head on. You know, I'm gonna
Yeah.
put my foot into the ground and show them. But that's a lot
Yeah.
of energy, right? And
Yeah.
I found that to be not the best option. Sometimes I just prefer to,
Why not though?
yeah, why not? Yeah,
I'm not agreeing with you, by the way. I'm not neither agreeing with you nor disagreeing with you. I'm just saying why not?
right. Yeah,
Why
yeah, yeah.
doesn't that why not? Maybe sometimes it works. Maybe sometimes that is the best thing. Maybe sometimes it's not. Why not do that?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, thanks.
Well, I mean, that's not an answer.
No, no, but I like that. I like
There might
that.
be really good reasons to not do it. I'm just saying, like, why not?
Yeah. I feel now I need to get your PayPal so I can send you some money for
No, no, no.
your coaching fees.
Uh, no, no, no. I think, can I say a thing? Because I'm sure we're running out low on time. Well, I don't, I mean, um, what I think you've agreed are the facts. Um, sometimes people can be on a really, you're on a cool mission because you're aligned to a mission with other people. Is it true
Sure.
or false? Is that
Yeah,
a fact?
true. Yeah.
Fact is as much as a fact to me. Okay. You've got people who you are happy to work with some of the time at least,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, absolutely.
who are capable of you teaming up with them and achieving or being on the path to the mission.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Okay. And then like there are times when you're not aligned. True
Yeah,
or false.
yeah,
And
sure.
then there will be a day when everyone will be 100% aligned all the time. True or false?
I'm sorry.
One day there will come a day that 100% of the people are aligned 100% of the time.
No, not
No.
false.
Okay, false. And that's true. Is that true only in your organization or like wherever you go?
Worldwide.
Worldwide. Okay. So now you feel dissonance about that. It feels gross.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah. You want to make a sound?
Yeah.
What does it sound like?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like that. It feels like that. Okay. So I want to say that's real. That feeling's real. Yes or no?
yeah, for
And
sure.
you're allowed to have it.
Yeah.
You're allowed to have it when that happens. So one option is like you can someone keeps writing this word accept. You can yeah, you can so I'm trying not to use it. You can accept that's a reality. You have accepted that's a reality. And you can also accept that it feels like shit what happens. You're like, ugh, why can't they just right? And then you can experience
Mhm.
that feeling and because you don't have to fight that feeling. That feeling exists. Um, and then what are you gonna do about it? You're gonna keep feeling, oh, we're gonna get to work on it, right?
Yeah.
And then seek alignment. maybe, or maybe not. Or, you know, make your decision, make your peace with it. Either you're going to get in there and you're going to put your foot down, or you're going to try to enroll them in a new solution, or you're going to go, you know what, we're not aligned, but we'll find other alignment. There's not a right answer to what to do about it, but I do think it's accept the truth. I wish we were in alignment. One truth. I wish we were in alignment all the time. We're not. Second truth. That feels shitty.
Mhm.
I'm going to make a decision about what to do. And now we're done. And that's the piece of it.
And you keep
That's the
your
piece.
field of vision wide
Yeah.
open, as
Yeah.
opposed
And
to
then once you've done that, once you've gotten the signal, you don't like something, you've felt the feeling of it, you've decided what to do about it, something or nothing, all valid, do something or
yeah.
nothing. You do that something or nothing. You see what happens, you're curious about the results, and you make peace that that's the way the world is, and you keep going and you wait for the next time you're pissed off.
Thank
Now, if
you.
you want to have a conversation about what the strategies are, the tactics, or whatever operations, what the actions could be, we could do that. But from a spiritual, emotional perspective, there are truths here. You look at the truths, you feel your honest emotions about it, you decide what the fuck you're going to do about it.
Yeah.
Now that JD has given me the permission to use profanity, and then you do or do not, and then you make peace.
Thank you, Alex.
Is that
Fantastic. And
helpful?
thank you for everyone for tagging along, being forced tagging along on this
Yeah.
conversation.
No,
Thanks
this
for
is
asking.
great. It's useful for all of us. I love these, yeah, getting into the sticky stuff. It's great. Thank you so much for Pierre for bringing that, and thank you, Alex, for offering
Sure. Thanks,
those
Alex.
insights. We're a little bit over. Does anybody else have any final reflections, comments, questions before we close things out?
I just quickly wanted just to say thanks, express some gratitude to Alex, to Max, to Vilo. I don't know exactly what I came here. I mean, obviously, it's something that interests me, and it really helped me in a part that I wasn't expecting to work on or to get some, I don't know, just to feel really grateful for the kind of approach. Tomorrow I'm having a mushroom ceremony with family,
Whoa.
and I'm basically been dealing. My own preparation has been to work into the field of anxiety or pressure on myself of like, oh my God, like I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but I just doing this from my heart, but also working on the expectations on people, like from people on me, and then just kind of switching I don't know, the perspective of like being a problem solver. And so like, I'm going there to, and getting that pressure to be like all the opposite, like we're all sitting together and just holding a space and just praying for the best and just trusting the process. And it just feels so much less pressure on me and to make sure that we all are holding a space for each other and supporting each other in a way that just feels so much release. So thank you so much for that. I really, really, really appreciate it. And this has been great. So thank you, Max. I really, really appreciate it. Again, you're doing great.
Thank you, Marvin. Yeah, no, that was, I think, a really huge takeaway for me as well, Alex. Just that reminder of continuously cultivating that inner peace so that no matter what is going on around us, and I think somebody said before, the calm in the storm, and I think that's just personifies you so well, Alex. Well, not personifies, but just captures your essence, kind of like that remaining calm in the middle of the storm. It's a really, yeah, important reminder that I'm taking away from today. So thank you so much. Any other final comments, reflections? I'm going to post in the chat some links to get in touch with us. So the Colibri Garden website, and then also our Instagram. And then I'm going to post as well Alex's website and his social links, Instagram and LinkedIn, for those of you who would like to stay connected with Alex. And then also my personal website and Instagram, where you can find out more about my work as a writer and an integration coach. Yeah, we have some events coming up with Colibri Garden. We have a Wachuma ceremony on the 5th of April here just outside of Medellin. We have a ayahuasca retreat from the 28th of April to the 2nd of May, and most likely an ayahuasca ceremony mid-May as well. So get in touch if any of that interests you. And we're also going to have our monthly integration circle on the 2nd of April. But yeah, feel free to get in touch. Jessica, we would love to have you whenever the time comes. I'm sure it will come at some point to sit
It's
in
when I
ceremony.
get the big D, when I get divorced, because there's no freaking way could like somehow manage to be like, you know what? I'm going to Medellin with a bunch of Bulgarians to sit with Aya. It's just not gonna fly, not at all. Like the furthest I'm able to escape now is Utah, so that's about it. And Alex, I salute you for dropping some major F-bombs. As an
Oh wow,
F-bomb pilot, I can say I admire your flight. Like
thanks.
honestly, you're human. And it was hilarious how you apologized immediately. I'm like, no. This is adult chat. There's no children present. There's no need to apologize.
I don't know if we're on public radio or
Human.
what.
Oh, this is gonna be recorded for posterity. We're gonna put it everywhere now. There goes
Mhm.
your character. I'm joking. Like honestly, thank you. Thank you for being your authentic self, and thank you for having me, Max. And sorry for picking on Peter, who ended up leaving. Peter, что си отиде много кофти. Anyway, thank you guys.
Thank you so much. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a beautiful weekend, rest of the day. And yeah, we'll be in touch soon. And I'll send out the recording as well for anybody who wants the recording.
Ciao, everyone.
Thank you so much, Alex and everybody.
Thanks, Alex. Bye, guys.
Goodbye.